Hello, this short video is going to show you how to begin adding content to your course by using the link Add an Activity or Resource. Again, can't emphasize enough that before you start doing anything to your course, you have to first make sure that editing is turned on. So I'm going to take care of that first. Once editing is turned on, at the bottom of each topic block you have a link that says Add an Activity or Resource. I'm going to click on that item. Now, activities and resources are used in two different ways. They are all in the same scroll box. Activities are things that you expect the students to do or complete. It can be things like an assignment. You can expect them to do a discussion forum, or you may have heard them called discussion boards. There may be a lesson that you want them to take. You may want to assign a wiki or a blog, or you may want to give them a test, and in Moodle, tests are referred to as quizzes. There are a whole host of types of activities listed here for you to choose from. Some will be familiar to you, some will not. Resources, which is the second section, are things that you would expect students to use to learn the material before they are expected to complete work for a grade. For example, the syllabus that we showed you how to edit in a previous video is a resource type of book. You can use a book, for example, to outline material that you would like them to learn. You may want to provide students with a file like a PDF or a Word document. You could want to design your own web page to display the information you want the students to use, or you could link to another website. Again, there are many resource types here that you will probably recognize by the name, and some you will not. One thing that is important to note is anything that you're not sure about. Let's pick this Lightbox gallery, for example. If you're not sure what that resource does, clicking on it over on the right side of the box will give you a brief description as to what the resource uses or is for. In addition, there will be a few types of activities or resources that there may not be help associated with inside of Moodle. The Moodle documentation site that is linked several places in your course will show you what a type of resource or activity is used for if you search for the topic for the type of resource or activity that you're looking for. And it will provide with you the types of settings and descriptions of what you're going to be doing. Alright, the first thing that I'm going to demonstrate is how you would give students an assignment. So once I click on assignment, I click on add. The first page, whether you're doing an activity or a resource that comes up, is the place where you will give your item a name, a description, and set the various settings. Before I get started, I always like to click on Expand All so that I see all of my options as I go. So I'm going to give this assignment an assignment name. I'm just going to simply call this one Assignment 1. You would want to name it something meaningful for the content for the unit you're covering. With assignments, the description or the instructions that the students would follow to complete your assignment. Before I start typing the description, I'm going to turn on the editing tools, and this will bring up an editor toolbar that will be much like a toolbar in any word processor. That toolbar will provide for you the various tools to format your instructions so that they are aesthetically pleasing. I always like to start by toggling to full screen mode so that I have more space to work on the item that I'm typing. Now I would simply type my instructions. Okay, so now that I have all of the instructions typed for my assignment, I'm going to click on the toggle full screen mode to get back to the screen that allows me to edit the settings for my assignment. Again, just like with one of the previous exercises, if you do not understand what a setting is used for, you can click on the question mark icon to get a little pop-up that will explain to you what the setting is used for. Then once you understand, you can close the pop-up window and make the choices for your settings. The first thing is most items have the ability to have the availability limited. So for example, if I wanted to make this assignment available on the 15th day of August, and I wanted to then make it due on the 22nd day of August at specific times, I like to use midnight, or I always do 23:55, which is 5 minutes before midnight, I can do that. Then the other thing that I want to do is I want to tell it what type of submissions are accepted. Since I was having the students turn in a file, I definitely want to make sure file submission is here. If you want the students to have comments or type a long passage of text along with their file submission, you would check those as well. Whatever you have checked here, the students will be able to use those items when they turn in their work. Now, since I'm uploading files, I can limit how many files the students can turn in. I'm only having them turn in one file, so I'm going to leave it there. The next, maximum submission size, if you leave that at the default, you won't have to worry about students not having enough space to turn in their assignments. The feedback types, you can read more about those later, but typically you'll just want to leave the options for that alone. Okay, again, a lot of these settings you will want to read more about to see if they are relevant to your purposes. The notification section, this would mean if you want to receive an email notification every time someone turns that in, you can set that to yes. Or if I don't really like that, particularly when I have several classes in a large class, but I may want to be notified if I allow students to turn in something late. Now, you may not allow students to turn in late work, so you can set that to no. That's up to you. Then the next section on grade. If you intend to grade this assignment, you would want to choose how many points the assignment is going to be worth. It can be worth anything from 1 point up to 100, or it can use some various other scales. A scale of 200 means it's worth 200 points. Scale of 250 means it's worth 250 points, etc. Any of these that say don't use, there are errors with those, but they can't be removed from the site, so leave those alone. You can use an outcomes or a satisfactory. You can look at the different types of scales later when we cover more about grades. Okay, the next thing I want to point out is this restrict access section. I do not advise that you restrict access based on dates, because that's what you did with availability at the top. If you do that here, after the last access date is available, even the grades would disappear from the grade book. So don't use the date restrictions here. But what we might want to talk about is restricting access for other things. For example, if you had a previous assignment that you want them to pass with a score of, say, 80% or higher before they can continue with this assignment, you can set the conditions here by choosing a previous assignment and setting those conditions. You can also restrict access to an assignment until they complete something. For example, in one of my courses, I don't want them attempting assignments until they review my lecture video. So I actually select my lecture video here. Now, there isn't any listed here because there's none in this course. And then I say it must be marked complete. And the way that it's complete is when on the previous assignment, I've got it set so that it's complete once they have viewed it. So until they complete the viewing of a lecture, they can't access my assignments. So you might want to take a look at this in more detail later. You can also indicate how things are marked complete, particularly if you're using completion tracking or a checklist. You can indicate that you don't want to indicate any activity completion. You can say that the students can check it off themselves. At a minimum, I like to do this so that students can keep up with their own progress as they are completing the course. or you can say show activity when conditions are met. So you can require that a student view an activity, you can require that they receive a grade to complete the activity, you can just simply require that they submit something to complete the activity. I always like to set the expected completion date here. I usually make that correspond with my due date. So I would click Enable, and I had set this for the 22nd of August as a due date, so I would do the expect completed on date there as well. Okay, now once I have my assignment complete, I can click on either Save and Return to Course, and that would take me back to my main course page, or Save and Display. Save and Display in this case just gives me a preview of what my assignment would look like. Now, if I were adding certain other activities, like a quiz for example, I would need to hit Save and Display, because then I would need to add questions to the quiz or do some more work with the particular activity or resource that I was adding. For an assignment, that is not the case. So I'm going to come back up to my breadcrumb trail, and I'm going to go back to my main course page, and you will now see the link for my assignment 1 along with the little icon. This icon with the little sheet of paper with what looks like a hand holding it is the icon used for an assignment. Now we have successfully added an item to our course. I want to also point out, now that there is an assignment in the course, that in the activities block, that there is an additional item there called assignments. Remember, your activities block, if you remember from the module where we talked about blocks, only displays the activities that you're using in the course. So that now has been added. And there would also be, if I wanted to look at the grade book, there is, since I set it to be graded, there is now a corresponding item in my grade book for that assignment. In the next module, we'll get into more detail about how to add additional items to your course, but for now, that's how you begin with adding activities and resources. As always, if you need assistance, you know how to give us a call, 252-222-6397, or shoot us an email at dl@carteret.edu. Thank you.